Hey guys, so today I'll be showing you guys some Blackwings combos. These ones are mostly specific to the structure deck, so hopefully this will help you out a bit. But to start off, what cards do we play? So, Vayu might look good, but honestly, Vayu has one very specific usage I can think of currently with the cards you currently have. You can dump Vayu off of like Boreas Storm, and then with Boreas Storm and Blackwing Dragon, you can go ahead and make Abyss Hot Red, which is a targeted Omni Negate, which is like fine to do that way, but you could also just use Orochi as well because it is also a level 1 tuner. And this, of course, is a Dark Dragon, which you need to be the non-tuner. And this works pretty well. So that protects you from like evenly matched, of course. So the only purpose of this is just to basically dump it off of Boreas Storm. This doesn't really serve much of another purpose because, well, I guess the most you could do with this is, I suppose, set up an XYZ summon. But it's like pretty weird. It does summon a Synchro Monster, but it's not properly summoned, and its effects are negated, so that doesn't have complete synergy with Black Feather Whirlwind on the first turn. The best thing I can think of to do with Vayu is to allow yourself to recover a bit on turn 3 by triggering Whirlwind with Vayu, and then you can go ahead and then I guess special summon from banished or graveyard some of your extra deck monsters and kind of get them back again. I think the most useful ones are likely, let's see, if we have a high enough attack point, Blackwing first. Okay, Joe, not high enough, not high enough. 160, 180. So you don't have a level 7 probably. Actually, no way, you do in the graveyard. Right. So you can Silver Wind, and then you can summon anything with less attack points than Silver Wind, which is a start. Or you can summon. Can you summon this? Blackwing. No. But like, it is somewhat hard to recover on the third turn for Blackwing. Depends on your exact hand, of course. So then we have Jetstream. This is just some battle phase gimmick card that you don't need because Whirlwind has battle protection anyways. And then we have Hurricane. You can target one synchro monster on the field. This card's attack becomes that monster's current attack until the end of this turn. This doesn't even special summon itself or anything. Useless. And then you have Blizzard, which cannot be special summoned, which is weird. When you normal summon this, you can target a level 4 Blackwing monster and graveyard special summon that target in defense position. This is not a good normal summon. No point in having it take up your normal summon. Of course, we have Vayu as well. Orochi would be fine if you have Abyss, but we're not going to be playing Abyss to start off with because you don't have it in the structure. So then Harmattan is actually okay as an extender. You can use like Harmattan plus Vata to make Boreas Storm at a later point in your combo. So Gale the Whirlwind is alright as well, but Gale is best for making 7s if you have any 7s that you want to be summoning, like for example Chidori. But we will not be playing it right now. This halve your opponent's attack defense just permanently, soft once per turn, is kind of funny though. Kalut. This is also a basically an honest kind of effect. Anything that happens in like damage step specifically, and only the damage step, is kind of weak. So cutting this as well. And then we have Gladius. Gladius is not necessary either. Gladius's level is not good for our strategy anyways. Damascus, the polar knight. This is another damage step thing. Don't need it. Steam the cloak. Actually, this card don't really have a usage for it. It doesn't really mesh well with the structure deck, extra deck. But Steam is pretty good overall, of course. I would go more into detail, but yeah. So then we have Shura the Blue. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by value and send it to the graveyard, you can special summon one Blackwing monster with 1,500 or less attack from your deck, but its effects are negated. I don't even know how you get this on the field. I'll be real. Oh yeah, Bora the Spear. Bora. This has defense spears, which is not good enough of a reason to run it, honestly, because you're better off running like Blackwing Armed Dragon instead, I believe. Yeah, this also has piercing damage, which is useful for exactly Crooked Cook. So if you don't want to get cooked, you can still run Blackwing Armed Dragon. Chris the Crack. Let's see. Special summons if you control another Blackwing. You can only special summon Blackwing Chris the Crack of Dawn once per turn this way. Once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by spell trap effects. This is pretty much a vanilla monster. That doesn't do a whole lot. Blackwing Tornado the Reverse Wind. I would prefer running Harmattan over Chris. So, Tornado the Reverse Whirlwind. Well, this card is normal summon while your opponent controls a special summon monster. You target a Blackwing tuner in your graveyard. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Blackwing monsters also special summon that monster, but its effects are negated. So this has a bunch of annoying effects, and the lock is pretty brutal on this. So no, we don't run that. Auster. When this card is normal summon, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower Blackwing monsters. Special summon in defense position, you can banish this card from the graveyard to activate one of the following effects. So you can place a wedge counter on your opponent's card, or place black feather counters on a Blackwing dragon you control equal to the number of cards your opponent controls. So all of these effects are like pretty useless or like redundant now in the current build, so you don't run Auster at all. Sirocco, if only your opponent controls a monster. This is a going second card, and purely a going second card. So I'll just basically remove that, and we'll try to speed it up a little bit. So, Boreas the Sharp. Boreas the Sharp. Well, you have to either special or normal summon this, so no. Zonda the Dusk. This can special summon a level 5 or higher Blackwing monster from your hand or deck, and it can also target a monster on the field, return it to the hand. So neither of those effects are actually particularly useful. The most useful part of that is that it can return Sudri to hand. I believe Sudri is the most relevant soft once per turn monster we have. So against the wind, this is basically a worse Shamal at this point. So we have Glowing Crossbow. This is not useful either. It looks kind of cool, but I guess if you destroy an opponent's monster by battle somehow, this is relevant like past turn 1 only, because this requires the battle phase, as with battle phase cards. So not gonna really bother with that. So of course we have Black Whirlwind. When a Blackwing monster is normal summoned to your field, you can add a Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand with less attack than that monster. So this card is soft once per turn, and you can activate multiple, and it's also a card that you need to run for Simoon, who has this effect. If you control no monsters and have this card in your hand, you can banish one other Blackwing monster from your hand, place a black whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone, then either send this card to the graveyard or immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon it without tributing. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for dark monsters. And this effect is hard once per turn during the end phase. Send the black whirlwind placed by this effect to the graveyard, and if you do, take 1000 damage. So basically you will be able to activate this and then normal summon Simoon, but it's like not a legit normal summon, so you will still have your actual normal summon. So you probably want to run 2 or 3 of Black Whirlwind and then 3 of Simoon, because this is one of your best starters. And while we're at it, let's talk about Sudri as well. Sudri has this effect. When it is normal summoned, you can add a card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, except for Blackwing Sudri, the Phantom Glimmer. And it has this other effect of you contribute 1 monster special summon a Phantom Glimmer token, which is a level 2 tuner, and then you take 700 damage, and then it locks you out of non-synchros. And you can only use the previous effect of Blackwing Sudri, the Phantom Glimmer, once per turn. So the effect to search here is not actually hard once per turn, or once per turn for that matter. So if you play Nothung, you can actually summon Sudri multiple times. And then you can search multiple times and trigger Black Whirlwind an extra time, I guess. So that kind of gets out of hand a little bit for your opponent. So Sudri to 3, of course. Best open Sudri. So normally, I guess Shamal is good to run at 2 or 3 as well. So Shamal's effect, you can send this card from either your hand or field to the graveyard, and place 1 Black Feather Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone. If a Blackwing Synchro monsters, or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you would banish this card, then target 1 Blackwing monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then take 700 damage. So this allows you to add your Blackwing cards back to your hand from your graveyard, and the primary target for this is actually going to be Chinook. So then the other effect, of course, is that it places a Black Feather Whirlwind, which is similar to like Simoon's effect. So once per turn, if you special summon any Dark Synchro monsters from the extra deck, except during the damage step, you can target 1 of your Blackwing monsters or Blackwing Dragon that is banished or in your graveyard with less attack than that special summon monster, special summon it. Once per turn, if a dark monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 Black Feather counter from your field instead. So this effect, of course, this will be able to protect your, well, 1 of your Blackwing monsters from battle if necessary. Well, actually not Blackwing, it's dark monsters in general. And of course, if you want to recover with this, it's totally doable as well. This also can protect your entire board from like a Raigeki, which is pretty swell. And then we will cut Swallow's Nest. Swallow's Nest is not particularly useful. Icarus Attack. Icarus Attack as a one-off might be okay, but not too crazy about it. Delta Crow Anti-Reverse. This card is not searchable. You probably can't even get this card when you need it the most, and it only affects face down, so it doesn't help you against floodgates. So, would not play that. Trap Stun. Negate all other trap effects on the field this turn. As a card, this is actually not that bad. It might help you find lethal if you need it. So, like, this is not as good as, like, for example, a red reboot, but for a card you kind of just get here, like, it's not bad. Blackwing Backlash. This is honestly not that great. This is worse than Black Sonic, but Black Sonic is not that good anyways. So, when exactly one Blackwing monster and no other monster special summon target one face-up monster your opponent controls gain LP equal to the attack of that target, and if you do, return it to the hand. So, Blackwing Compulse. Let's see, this mentions... it does not mention Blackwing Dragon. It only says Blackwing, so it's not searchable either. Black Sonic. This is not searchable either, but this is basically like a Blackwing Mirror Force that banishes all your all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. Which is this is a bit of a funny card, but it'll give you like inconsistencies and stuff. So Blackwing Twin, Shadow Close, and Squall are the cards you can actually search off of Sudri. So if you're playing some of these funky Blackwing traps, I would recommend these three just because they are searchable. So these three are a bit funky. This one is a spell trap, negate, and it can also set itself back, which is pretty swell. And then Blackbird Close, which is a monster negate, but that only works on the field, basically. And then Twin Shadow, which shuffles two of your Blackwing monsters, tuner, non-tuner, that are either banished or in your graveyard. And then this actually counts as a synchro summon, but it basically special summons a Blackwing synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck with the same level as the shuffled monsters. So you can use this to special summon, let's see, what is it? Silverwind the Ascendant, which is only a rare card, so would highly recommend crafting this. Twin Shadow, of course, is still good even without Silverwind and can allow you to extend your combo a bit. So, pretty good. And if you have Chidori as well, Chidori allows for like a form of recovery by triggering your Black Feather Whirlwinds, allowing you to summon like fairly high level, high attack point Blackwing monsters you have. So overall, not bad at all. So then there's also Blackwing Full Armor Master, of course, which everyone was given a royal copy of Blackwing Full Armor Master, so you should have it, but in case you don't, I will also go over what to do in case you don't have it. So we'll increase the ratios a bit, so we can keep that one of Gale. So I have not yet mentioned what Vata does, I suppose. So Vata special summons itself if you control a Blackwing monster. And if you do, then well, nothing. But once per turn during your main during your main phase you can send Vata and then one or more non-tuner Blackwing monsters from your deck to the graveyard. Well, it will attempt to, but the total levels need to equal exactly 8, and if you do manage this, then you special summon a Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck, and this also dark locks you. So with this, you're usually wanting to send like Blackwing Zephyros, and then Chinook, or like Harmattan. So that's usually what you're going for, but if for some reason you can't do that, you can also send like Sudri Chinook, but if you can't even do that, I guess you can just end up sending Simoon. Because just getting Blackwing Dragon out is fairly important. And now we have a bunch of free space still, actually. So let's figure out what we want to run here. So, just to show off the combos, I'll add in copies of Small World, Destrudo, Radian, and then let's throw in Mothman as well. And then for your extra deck as well. Well, since you only have the structure deck cards, well, I'm assuming as much, so for that you'd want to play 2 copies of Blackwing Dragon, 3 of Blackwing Assault Dragon, and then 2 copies of Boreas Storm, and then the rest you have some more leeway with, but I guess for this, well, if you have it, we'll just throw in Joe for now, because there is a good chance you just randomly have Joe, actually. Because there was just an event where you could just get copies of Joe, and I've been just getting random copies of Joe anyways, since you can get Joe from Legacy as well. And I guess since we have the space, I'll just throw in Abyss, so I don't have to do it later, but if you don't have Abyss, you don't need to throw in Abyss. You can also throw in generic links if you want, like IP mask access code or something, if you wish. That's not like the best option to throw in, but just filling your extra deck up to 15, I don't think you're getting punished for that anymore. Well, if you know, you know. So, I guess we will just put in another copy of Boreas Storm for now. Or we can put in nothung, but I guess I'll put in nothung later, which is fine. So we'll throw in some hand traps, I guess, which is fine. Boom. Followed by Imperm. Good enough for now. So let's save this. And yeah, I forgot to mention Sharnga. So the thing about like Sharnga is that it looks pretty decent on paper, right? So I'll go ahead and explain. So if a monster with 2000 more attack is on the field, so your opponent or yourself can control that monster, of course, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Sharnga once per turn this way. If you control a Blackwing Synchro monster, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a face-up card your opponent controls, destroy it. This effect is once per duel. So it requires you to control a Blackwing Synchro monster. So this is a Black Dash-Winged Assault Dragon. This doesn't count as a Blackwing Synchro, or Blackwing Synchro. Blackwing Full Armor Master counts, for example, or Blackwing Boreas Storm The Wicked Wind counts. Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Hawk Joe counts. Blackwing Dragon does not count. So basically these Blackwinged dragons here are slightly different, and some cards mention them specifically, like Blackwinged instead of Blackwing, and that's kind of weird, but it is what it is, I guess. So these are mostly like options that you don't necessarily go into super often. There are situations where they arise, I guess, but we will not be focusing on that, so let us head back, and let's go ahead and go first. Until we get hand, because there's still no hand test function. So, this works good enough. So, there are a bunch of different 2-card combos, so we won't even use Shamal, just because I don't feel like it. We will go ahead and just use Black Whirlwind and Sudri for our combo here. So what we're going to do is normal summon Sudri. Sudri resolving is generally better than Whirlwind resolve, and this can also bait out Imperm, because sometimes this just does not matter. So chain 1 Sudri, chain 2 Whirlwind. Sometimes if your opponent has a monster negate though, you're better off. You're able to chain this way. If your opponent has a spell trap negate, chaining the other way of course can stop your opponent from doing stuff as well, right? So we'll add Vata. Did I forget to put in copies of Vata? Oops. So we can add Shamal off of Sudri, activating the effect of Shamal to place this. So of course Black Feather Whirlwind, not a single card once per turn on this, so if you stack multiple, you get multiple protections. And of course you can trigger it multiple times and you're just solid. So there's actually something pretty schnasty you can do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate Shamal here. We're going to add back Chinook, of course. And then on this Black Feather Whirlwind, you either have the option to target Vata here, or you can target like Shamal. So since we're not going to be using Sudri's effect in this combo, it is actually slightly better to go for Shamal rather than Vata here. But if we use the Sudri's effect, this will of course stop us from being able to link summon or anything like that. There's some builds that do, but getting this Shamal back into the graveyard is better in the long term and plays around DD Crow a little bit. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to Zephyros return Whirlwind. So this resets the Whirlwind and we can activate it again to special summon one of our Blackwings in the graveyard or banished. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of Shamal. So we basically just have a level 2 tuner, just the same as if we had Vata. But now we're locked. Doesn't really matter in this list, in this situation, so we can go ahead and just do that. So it doesn't matter who you use, Sudri or Zephyros here, you can use either. So now we go Boreas Storm the Wicked Wing. And then here we will send a level 2. So you can send like Sharnga, Hermiton, Chinook. So if you have only the structure deck cards, you'll commonly find yourself sending Sharnga. So after we send Sharnga, we can now synchro summon. So we will synchro summon Blackwing Assault Dragon. So you want to activate this like immediately after you Zephyros in case you think you'll forget. So anyway, we can just go ahead and summon Blackwing Assault Dragon here. And then we can still special summon Blackwing Assault Dragon. This will not be synchro summoned, so it is not summoned properly, but we can still trigger Black Feather Whirlwind because it is being summoned from the extra deck. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then this will trigger our copy of Whirlwind and allow us to summon back our copy of Boreas Storm. So now we can either synchro Blackwing Full Armor Master or Blackwinged Assault Dragon. And this is a choice we have, but we cannot activate Sharnga unless we summon Blackwing Full Armor Master. So choice is kind of obvious in a sort of way. Blackwing Assault Dragon, the third one of course, if you don't have Full Armor Master, is a decent choice, and to probably cut Sharnga is alright. You can still run Sharnga because you still run some Blackwing monsters. But yeah, just because we made Sharnga, we can go this right now. But if you just want to full commit to the burn, then of course going Blackwinged Assault Dragon is perfectly fine choice. So let's go again. Hopefully we get a hand with Simoon. And of course, there's like a billion different combination of hand cards you can have that can end on like triple Blackwing Assault Dragon. This is not one of them, is it? No, I think this one can. But this hand is not super common. This hand is still totally playable, but it's like pretty awkward still. What you would probably do here is like this, because you can still special summon these guys. And this gives you better search targets, so you would normal summon Shamal and then add some stuff. Quality-wise, we don't have anything super interesting to add. We can add like a Gale, I guess, if we wanted. Harmattan. I think Harmattan's probably like one of the best options here. So we can also go like this, and then now we can trigger Shamal's effect, activating Vada, and then it's pretty much the same from here. So trigger this. I guess I'll just play this out real quickly. We're already in too deep. So then here you definitely have to summon back Vata. So then Harmattan. Harmattan's level changing effect is not hard once per turn, which is interesting. So we also still have Zephyros, of course. So this actually puts us back into the same point last time. So we have a level 2 tuner, 2 level 4 monsters, so we end on like more or less the same board as before, but we have Sharnga in hand this time. So we can play it a little bit different if we care about getting Sharnga into the graveyard or not. So it's the same from this point. So let's actually surrender real quick so I can add more copies of Vada into my hand. Or not into my hand, into the deck. So Vata, Tippery. And then we can go remove Gale. And then we can just remove Squall for now. And that's good enough. Okay. So let's try to get a hand with a copy of Samu. And Zephyros in hand, that kind of sucks. That's hella awkward. I don't want to deal with this. So, in a situation like that, having nothung really changes things. But we do not have nothung, so that sucks. This hand doesn't have what I want either. The hand is probably like somewhat playable still. Keeping in mind if you make like Boreas Storm with Blackwing Dragon, you'll most of the time be able to go into what you want, I guess. This hand is also surprisingly like semi-playable. No luck. A test hand feature would be so helpful. Can you even imagine? Like, what is this? Dreadful. And we haven't seen a single copy of Samoon yet. Will this hand be the one? Alright, let's go. So all you need is Samoon and any other Blackwing. So in this case, we're just going to banish whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's banish Sudri, but I guess normally you would banish Chinook here instead of Sudri. Kinda depends on the exact context, but whatever. Since your search target was going to be Sudri anyways, like, you would normally banish Chinook here in case you get, like, ashed on your whirlwind. Doesn't really matter here, though. So now we normal summon Simoon. And then Simoon will trigger our whirlwind. We still have not done our actual normal summon. So now we can normal summon, triggering both Sudri and the Black Whirlwind again. And then off of this, we will add Vata. Vata is pretty key for our combo. Then we will go ahead and add, of course, Shamal. So then we can go ahead and Shamal. Do this. And then we can Vata here. And then we'll send Zephyros and a copy of Chinook to the graveyard. But like in hands like these where we actually already have Chinook in hand, you can send Harmattan instead to add that to your hand instead. So we can go like this. If our opponent's bad, they can end up wasting a Crow here, actually, which is not bad. If you really want to play around Crow, you could actually hold the Black Feather Whirlwind here, because we can still Sudri tribute the Simoon to make our copy of Boreas Storm, and that is a level 6 tuner, of course, that adjusts its level, but that can trigger Whirlwind, and in our case here, we have a Sudri, so we can summon back Sudri as well. But as we have I know Mr. Dragon Army here has no responses, so we'll just go ahead. Target Vata. Doesn't actually matter super hard if they Crow either of these two. If they Crow Zephyros, we can actually with Nothung we can continue, but like if they go ahead and activate it on Zephyros, we can't return our copy of Black Feather Whirlwind. So that's kind of hard to play around. So here we'll go like this, because we still have Sudri effect available. Sometimes this is relevant, sometimes it's not. So then we can go ahead and Boreas Storm, we usually just save this effect now after we reset it with Zephyros. You should typically always save one to resummon our copy of Boreas Storm to go into like a Synchro 10 or something. So whenever you special summon Blackwing Assault Dragon, that's usually what you save the last one for, I guess. So here we'll send we can send actually Zephyros if we got our thing negated, for example. This is another way to send Zephyros. This is kind of relevant sometimes, or you could send Shamal if you already have like everything, right? But in this case, we'll once again send our copy of Sharnga. We don't really have super important usage for our Harmattan here. So we can just save Harmattan for the next turn, I guess. In case we want to adjust the level of Harmattan, there is literally nothing for us to make, since this is the structure deck. But you can make like a Draco Berserker if we used Harmattan. So what we can do actually is we won't be needing Simoon, right? So we can go ahead and special summon Harmattan targeting Sudri to make it a level 6, and then tribute Simoon to make to replace Simoon with a level 2 tuner, and then that is Draco Berserker with those two. And for now, we won't be using Simoon at all, which is kind of funky, but it is what it is. So Warrior Storm, Blackwing Dragon. No effect. Special summon. Blackwing Assault Dragon again. Trigger Whirlwind. Now we can bring back the banished copy of Warrior Storm. And then we can go into a Synchro 10, in which case we will go into our copy of Blackwing Full Armor Master this time around. So usually you do want to summon Blackwing Full Armor Master in defense position though, because it is unaffected by other cards' effects. And it'll place wedge counters on your opponent's cards if they activate an effect on the field. And once per turn, you can take control of one of your opponent's cards with a wedge counter. This is actually a targeted effect. Sometimes this matters, sometimes it doesn't. It matters if your opponent's playing Sprite Elf, I suppose. And then during the end phase, specifically your end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that have a wedge counter. And this will, of course, destroy all of your opponent's monsters. And Blackwing Full Armor Master is somewhat hard to out. Your opponent might not necessarily have the necessary stuff to out Blackwing Full Armor Master as well. Blackwing Full Armor Master being a 3000 makes it kind of hard when it's unaffected. There are some decks that struggle harder than others, for example Fluandereeze. The only out they could possibly have is Underworld Goddess in the extra deck, and if they activated Extravagance, they have like a 50% chance of just losing their one out. Just to be clear, you might think they can tribute over Blackwing Full Armor Master, but actually they cannot. So now, those were kind of the basic structure deck combos, and that's about what you can do with the structure deck, which is a lot. So, board might look a little unassuming, but of course Blackwing Assault Dragon. Every time your opponent activates a monster effect and it on effect resolution, you will inflict 700 damage and place one black feather counter on your Blackwing Assault Dragons. Not hard once per turn, of course, so if you control 2, they would get burned for 1,400. If you control 3, 2,100. So your opponent can only activate 4 monster effects, for example. And the math changes a bit if you add some cards, but in general, this is what it does. And you also have this effect too, of course. Tribute Blackwing Assault Dragon, and if it has 4 or more black feather counters on it, you can tribute it. So that is the cost, and then it'll destroy all cards on the field. So that includes your cards, of course. So the only cards that you will have destroyed will be your back row, actually, because you have the effect of Black Feather Whirlwind to protect here. So if a dark monster you control would be destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can remove 1 Black Feather counter from your field instead. But astute observers would notice that if you tribute Blackwing Assault Dragon, it will no longer be on the field. So if it's not on the field, it cannot possess any counters. So you need to control 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons to resolve this effect without destroying your whole board. But of course, if you end on Blackwing Assault Dragon with Full Armor Master, like one of, then Blackwing Full Armor Master is not affected by the destruction effect, at least. There's some weird like hands and situations that actually lead up to that where this is relevant. What is this? Cyber's Accelerator. Huh. Anyway. Now we will be throwing in nothung. This is 1 card, and this changes the deck, like, a lot. So, now we'll also throw in Orochi as a one-of. We'll go to 41. I don't really care, it's fine. And then, of course, let's see. Are we good? Yeah. Okay. So let's get going. I guess we can cut Harmattan if we want here. But actually, yeah, there was something I forgot to mention. So You can summon Silverwind off of Twin Shadow, of course, but you have to activate Twin Shadow as Chain Link 1 or Silverwind misses timing. When this card is Synchro Summoned, you can target up to 2 face-up monsters on the field with defense lower than this card's attack. Destroy those targets. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect during each of your opponent's turns. The first Blackwing monster you control that would be destroyed by battle is not destroyed. So this also cannot protect Full Armor Master because it is not affected. And then you can't destroy anything without defense points, so you cannot destroy Link monsters with Silverwind. I mean, it is what it is, I suppose. But then let's go ahead. I remember now. So you might think like Unexplored Winds or Super Poly can out Blackwing Full Armor Master, but they cannot. These are all card effects. If it was a cost, like a Kaiju, that would remove Blackwing Full Armor Master, but Super Polymerization and Unexplored Winds do not have the ability to remove Full Armor Master. Yeah, so this tribute effect just does not affect Full Armor Master. And of course, M-Pen's effect does not work either. So the deck actually changes significantly with just a single copy of Nothung. Nothung, of course, pops off the hardest whenever you have a copy of Blackfeather Whirlwind. This is a hand of all time. So of course we can adjust the ratios if we want for later. And this actually is fine. So we have Simoon and Zephyros, not the best, not the worst. But we actually will have 2 copies of Whirlwind, which changes things, so. Banish Zephyros, and we already have Blackfeather Whirlwind, so we have an extra 1 for this, so. You can go ahead and Whirlwind, I guess. And off of this extra Whirlwind, you would probably bring Zephyros back. I don't know, probably add. Well, in this case, I'll just show it off real quick. We add Sudri, and then we can go ahead and add Sudri, but again. Normal summoning Sudri. And then we can do this. Of course, we want to add Shamal. So, we also want a Vata. Need at least 1 Vata, of course, so then we can add. Well, we don't have that many targets here, so Orochi. Add from deck to hand. Add Shamal. This hand goes pretty hard. And we even have Destrudo, which is a small world target. What you can actually do with Destrudo, though, is when you have like summoned your thing, right? Your guy. So anyway, we'll just dump these guys real quick. But like when you've summoned Blackwing Dragon here, you can go ahead and use Blackwing Dragon along with the Destrudo that targets Simoon to make Abyss over here. Hot Red Dragon Arcfiend Abyss. And this targets any face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn, which is essentially an Omni Negate. It also has this sometimes relevant effect to special summon a tuner in your graveyard in defense position if you inflict battle damage to your opponent. Sometimes relevant, sometimes not so relevant, whatever. So here we can activate like Sudri effect here. And then we can go ahead and go Nothung or Boreas Storm, whichever one's perfectly fine. But in case we have Nothung, we can now normal summon Sudri, but again. So 1, 2, 3. I guess this is what it feels like to be playing Runic, huh? So now we can add, we'll go Sharnga. And then we'll add, it'll be a Vado for next turn, because why not? And then here, now we can add Twin Shadow or Close. Twin Shadow is pretty safe option. Close is somewhat problematic if your opponent has Dimensional Fissure in their hand. So in this meta specifically, I would recommend going Twin Shadow just because of that. And both are pretty decent regardless, of course. You also have to be somewhat aware of what Black Feather Whirlwind you activated. So just look at this. If I activated this earlier and I wasn't paying attention, alright, which one did I activate this turn? Well, did I activate one? I think I did, right? Did I not? I did, right? Did I even activate one? I did, right? Scroll back. And yeah, I activated Black Feather Whirlwind targeting Zephyros. And you can use that little indicator there to show you, I activated this one. And then you can go ahead and Zephyros return that one. So like this hand and this like board is pretty good and all, but let's try for something more realistic. Just high rolling isn't good enough. Yeah? So ideally we're just looking for a Simoon hand without Zephyros in it. That is literally it. And we don't have a Blackwing. You know, that's fine. We'll just pass. I'll simply draw into a Blackwing on this turn. Next turn, draw Blackwing. And damn. Guess we can't. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what card they have set there. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember what card that could be exactly, but whatever. So actually this hand works. So I can demonstrate how good Nothung is with this hand. So we go Whirlwind, normal summon Sudri, of course. So chain 1, chain 2. I already have Shamal in this hand, so whatever. So of course we want to add Vata. And here, just because we can, well, we already have like all of these in our hand, 1 copy of each. So now we can either add Black Feather Whirlwind, Close, or Twin Shadow. So for this specifically, I want to add a Whirlwind here, but you can add both Close, Twin Shadow as well, because we will be activating Sudri multiple times. But I will just grab a Whirlwind. So we can Shamal effect, Shamal, Vata, and then just like before, Vata effect, dumping copy of Zephyros, Chinook, and then we actually do not want to activate the effect of Shamal here. Normally we Shamal for like a Chinook when we have just the structure deck cards, of course. But when you add Nothung, it's a little bit different actually. So we will go ahead, targeting Vata. Do not activate Shamal. So we already activated this, so we might as well return it to our hand. And then here, what we do is we will special summon Nothung, and we have to send specifically Vata and Sudri. This combo is a little risky if you don't have Sharnga in your hand. But anyway, there is also the option, I guess, of using Sudri early, Sudri's effect, to make sure you have a tuner. But anyway, we will be adding Sudri from the graveyard to our hand off of Shamal effect instead. And this is particularly cool because we can get a tuner by using Sudri's effect to tribute, or we can just grab Sharnga off of this whirlwind. So we'll go like this. And we'll play it a bit differently. So we'll go ahead and add Orochi, actually. And then we will add a copy of, let's see, Twin Shadow. So we can actually activate Twin Shadow on our own turn if we control two Blackwing monsters. So that's pretty cool. So we can just raw activate this right now to summon a Boreas Storm by shuffling like Shamal and Chinook, for example. And that would just work, or we can do it a bit later. Keeping in mind that Blackwing Dragon does not count as a Blackwing monster. Or we can save it for the next turn to summon Silverwind. So now let's summon. Let's see, let's go Orochi. Okay. And then here we want to actually tribute nothung. Make a token, keeping in mind that this token is actually not a Blackwing monster, so it does not allow you to summon Blackwing Full Armor Master since it requires a Blackwing tuner, and this is a Phantom Glimmer token, which it does not count. And that is relevant for some other stuff as well. Some of these specifically mention, like Obsidian Hawkjoe mentions it, Blackwing Armor Master, whatever. The Thung does not care, it's just a tuner and non-tuner. Some of them say like Dark Tuner, not non-tuner or something, which is also fine. So anyway, now we make this. Typically want to leave your Blackwing Dragon so you don't get burned by your own effects. Just because we can, why not change the position? Anyway, we still have another copy of Whirlwind actually, we can use it if we want. But it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to do this. And we'll go for, let's see. We don't have a copy of Shamal in the graveyard. And do we have Sharnga in the graveyard either? No. So let's go a little bit crazy with it. Let's go like this. Chain 1, chain 2. And then we can bring back a card. So we don't have Simoon as it happens. So that is fine. Let us go ahead and just bring Sudri back, I suppose. This is a little weird, but yeah, whatever. So here, we can just avoid going into Sharnga completely, or we can just go into Sharnga anyways. Which is pretty awkward to do so, so instead we'll send Shamal here. We don't have to send, but whatever. So what we can do instead is this, like this. Summon Blackwing Dragon. Don't activate that, right? And it looks a bit scuffed because, well, it is. Banish 1, 2. And now we will special summon our copy of Boreas Storm. Let's go Full Armor Master. And then we can special summon by banishing these two again. And boom. With Blackwing Assault Dragon, Full Armor Master, Red Dragon Arcfiend Abyss. In this case, we already started with Chinook, but we could have easily added Chinook to our hand anyways. Off of Whirlwind. Or it doesn't even matter actually, and we can just activate the effect of Shamal when we summon our copy of Silverwind to add Chinook in our graveyard, which is fine as well. In this case, we'll probably just add Sudri for an extender or a starter next turn, whatever. So let's go and end here. So you want to turn Chain to on, so you can always activate your copy of Twin Shadow on a good timing. So our opponent doesn't do anything here. But we can do this now. So let's see. Let's go 4. This is kind of shuffling a brick back, but I don't really care. So this triggers this. This summons from the extra deck. This triggers Shamal. This also triggers itself, which we don't want to activate because this targets monsters including our own, and we don't have any other face-ups to target here, of course. So we'll go Shamal. We can add back Sudri to our hand. And then our field is, well, it's got too much stuff on it right now, but we can also summon Nothung back, and this will allow us to burn our opponent once more. And this somewhat just puts them on a tighter timer. And now, boom. 6,400 with 2 of these bad boys on the field, and if you've played Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you know how many monster effects activate every single turn. So this is just basically how it goes, and of course, once we're in this state, it's pretty hard for our opponent to out all of this. And we still haven't used, for example, our Chinook Negate in hand. And we have an Omni Negate here as well. But yeah, that's just beyond easy lethal. We have 6 Synchro monsters on our field. Is that even normally possible? I guess not, because if you like do it normally, you'd have to like Monster Reborn a Synchro Monster or something, because like you need a tuner and non-tuner. So if I had 5 Synchro Monsters and then like a tuner here or a non-tuner, I couldn't get another tuner or non-tuner on the field to make a Synchro Monster, if that makes sense. But yeah. This is just basically how you combo with the new Blackwing cards, basically. We're just focusing on the Blackwing core, and we're not going to do anything weird like the FTK or make Kali Yuga on our opponent's turn, just keeping it simple. And I think this is mostly what you want to be doing, I guess. Of course, you can also run Draco Berserker, which I do not have, and I don't feel like crafting, so whatever. This effect is typically just decent anyways. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!